Blues, Brews, and Barbecue in the city of Westland is back, and you don't want to miss this two-day event of lively music, finger-licking barbecue, and refreshing craft and domestic brews. And it's all going to be capped off with some jaw-dropping fireworks. We have two guests joining us today, the City Controller and Event Chairperson Devin Adams, and Master Barbecuer Patrick Hegman from Heaven on a Roll. It's all Blues, Brews, and Barbecue right here on In the W. It's only the biggest summer bash in all of Western Wayne County. It's all about slick blues music, Detroit-style barbecue, and lots of ice-cold beer on tap. Joining us now is our Blues, Brews, and Barbecue event chair and the city's controller, Devin Adams.
How you doing, Mayor? Thanks for having me on today's show.
Well, welcome to today's show. Devin, can you believe it's the 9th annual Blues, Brews, and Barbecue? It's hard to believe it's 9 years already.
I know. Can you believe it? Time sure does go by fast.
Well, it's always a great event. It's probably turned into our signature event here in the city of Westland. And with your new role as one of the event chairs, are you guys ready? It's right around the corner.
Yep, we are ready. The doors will open on Friday, August 2nd at 3 p.m. The music and food will begin at 4 p.m. and Friday's festivities will end about 11 p.m. And then the second day of the event will be August 3rd, starting at 4 o'clock. Beer and food will be available at 5 p.m. and then the event will close out at 10 o'clock on Saturday, the August 3rd.
All right, so we're going to be right back on Ford Road. We'll be on Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. If you haven't been there yet, it's on this Ford Road property, former City Hall site, and it's really turned into quite a great event, Devin. And so it's Friday, Saturday. It's a two-day event. What can you talk a little bit about? It's hard to believe that there actually might be somebody out there that hasn't attended one of these, but for that person, when they get there on Friday, what can they expect?
They can expect great food. They can, of course, expect a nice selection of beer to choose from. As far as the food vendors, we have 12 great vendors locked in, a lot of repeat vendors from last year. To name a few, we have the Detroit Mini Donuts, which is always a popular choice for the young kids, crispy fish and chicken, stick a pig in it, Old Dad's Barbecue, Harvest Kettle Corn, Famous Days, which as you know is a local Westland company, Mr. Pitmaster Barbecue, Red Ventures, Nut and Fancy, Heavenly Hot Dogs, Heaven on a Roll, who I think we'll hear from later, and last but not least, Hillbilly Bone.
All right, so the food's actually my favorite part of this, and the barbecue by far is I think the best part. Sounds like the Blues, Brews, and Barbecue team has actually expanded the offerings a little bit as well. So. It's going to be a little bit different than last year, so I think a lot of people will be happy to see that there's actually more vendors, and of course we're going to be tasting a little bit of that Detroit-style barbecue on our next segment. So, well, while the barbecue is my favorite part of it, a lot of people, they come out for the music. So can you tell people what they can expect this year as far as the blues music?
Absolutely. This year's event, as mentioned, will begin on August 2nd. Gio and his Zydeco Hepcats will be kicking off this year's event at 5 p.m. on Friday, August 2nd. They will be followed by the Boa Constrictors and the Detroit Dixie Connection, and their set will end at about 11 p.m. Again, on Saturday, August 3rd, Billy Davis Band with Sergeant Mighty Michael. They will begin their set at 4 p.m. The Randy Brock Group, followed by the Kenny Parker Band featuring Jim McCarthy, will close out Saturday's music entertainment. And as you know, Mayor, my favorite part of the event might be the fireworks, which will officially close out Saturday's event, which will start about promptly at 10 p.m.
Well, it sounds like a great lineup, and Jim McCarty, he's actually a Detroit native, so he's a headliner. So what's nice about this event, and a lot of people say it, Devin, is that over a two-day period, that just about every band that we have is considered headline material. So absolutely. I don't think there's any place in Southeast Michigan that you can hear all these great blues bands, especially over a two-day period. So that alone is worth the price of admission, which is free, right?
Absolutely. There's tons of free offerings here. As you know, admission is free parking, and of course, you just want to come out and hang out. There's no cost to sit around and enjoy yourself as well.
All right. Now, there is a cost for some of the barbecue, and of course, all the vendors that are coming in. It's quite an expense for them to set up shop there and put out the quality and the quantity of barbecue that they do for this crowd. So there is a charge for the barbecue and of course for the beer as well. But if you just want to come out and check out some great bands and enjoy your community and also watch the fireworks, there's absolutely no charge. So
That's correct.
Devin, let's talk about the fireworks, because every year it seems like the fireworks get bigger and better. You know, for a long time in Westland, we always did fireworks at 4th of July. And with the change when the folks from the festival retired, we kind of moved our fireworks to the Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. So this will kind of be like the Detroit area's last official big fireworks spectacular of the year, and our fireworks are just dynamite. So what can people expect when they see the fireworks this year?
Well, of course, like you mentioned, Mayor, it's going to be one of the best shows that will close out the summer festivities throughout the year. Again, we're partnering up with Great Lakes Fireworks, a company who's going to supply and shoot off all the fireworks for us. They will be shot off near the Tatton Park soccer fields. So the Farmers Market Pavilion's a great location to get a good view, which is just outside the event grounds. We're going to make sure the sprinkler system off Central City Parkway and Ford Road is shut off, so residents and event patrons can set up shop right on the boulevards and to get a good shot at the fireworks.
All right, so as people come out, where's the best place to park? You know, I know that there is parking on site, but there's gonna be a lot of people there, so those on-site parking lots are gonna fill up pretty quick.
Right.
And do we have accommodations for handicap parking as well?
Absolutely. All 3 of our entrances will be handicap accessible. I know that was an improvement we made to the event this year. The free parking lot will be located at the north end of the event grounds, just north of JFK Boulevard. That's where the former Bailey Center used to be. It's all grassy area that there'll be plenty of parking signage for you. We are, of course, expecting a sellout crowd, so we do have overflow parking, which will be at John Glenn High School, Votech, the DPS Yard, and Senior Center. We will have 2 shuttle buses going continuously, so our event patrons and city residents don't have to wait too long to join in on the fun.
All right, so once again, there'll be overflow parking all up and down Marquette at John Glenn High School, the DPS Yard, all the way down, and also at the Friendship Center, and we'll also have Nankin Transit working that day to work those shuttles, and
Absolutely.
they'll be open Friday and Saturday, all the way from the beginning all the way to the end of the fireworks.
Yep, correct.
Okay. Is there anything that we need to tell people about? You know, is there anything that we're now allowing them to bring with them? And I know in the past we've had some people bring in some coolers and other things. Is there anything you want to kind of caution people,
Sure.
especially if you're getting on a shuttle and you're leaving your car? You need to know those things.
Sure. Well, this is unfortunately, this is not a pet-friendly event unless, of course, it's a service dog. So, you know, dogs will not be allowed unless they're a service animal. We will allow you to bring in a water bottle, but other than that, no outside food or beverages will be allowed in the event grounds.
Okay. All right, Devin. One of the last things before we go to break and dive into some of this new, or some of the barbecue we're going to be talking about today, let's talk about one of probably the key reason we do this event is to have a community event that people can enjoy and really take in their community. But the other part is the volunteer piece, and the proceeds from the event are distributed back to our volunteers. Can you talk a little about how that program works?
Sure, yeah. So every year, and again, this is the 9th year of the event, we, of course, raise a ton of sponsorship dollars. And then we have civic organizations like the Westland area JCs who take care of the beer pouring for the event. The Westland Rotary Club, the Westland Civitans, the Westland Lions Club, they all sign up and volunteer the event, and all our proceeds actually get given back to them in a check form. So since the inception of the event over 9 years ago, Mayor, over $120,000 has been given back to these groups alone.
Well, that's awesome. So once again, this event gives back to the community, and all those community organizations like the Rotary and the JCs and the Goodfellows, they all have their members out here that day, and they would love for you to ask them about their clubs and get involved, because the more people that we get involved in the community, the better. This is a really fun event, and it helps them raise a lot of money that they turn around and put right back into the community. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
All right, Devin, is there anything about Blues, Brews, and Barbecue that we need to touch on before we go to break?
Just real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to all our sponsors and especially the Westland Chamber of Commerce, who is our big partner in this event. You know, we have tons of sponsors. We usually raise close to $100,000 every year, so I just wanted to acknowledge the Westland Downtown Development Authority. They're always our biggest sponsor. Michigan Joint Sealing stepped up this year and gave us a big sponsorship. The Wayne Community College District was another great big sponsor, Plant Moran, WCA Assessing, and many, many more. So just thought I'd throw a quick plug in them from there.
All right, well, they're important because we could not do this event without our sponsorships, our corporate sponsorships. Obviously, the Westland DDA plays a big part of that, and they make sure that the fireworks are a sustainable event every year. But those volunteers and our sponsors are really what makes this event work. So. Well, Devin, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Patrick Hagman from Heaven on a Roll, and wait till you try his barbecue. He's one of our veterans. He's been here a couple times before. We're going to dig into his barbecue when we come right back.
Sounds good.
Welcome to the stage, one and only John Watkins! Sit down behind the tree. Well, don't your house seem so lonesome when your baby pack up to leave? Blow wind, blow my baby back to me. Well, blow wind, blow my baby back to me. Well, if I don't find the little girl, my heart's gonna be a misery. Back to me. Well, I'm blowing, blow my baby back to me. Well, if I don't find a little girl, my heart's gonna be a misery.
Welcome back to this special Blues, Brews, and Barbecue edition of In the W. And Devin and I are now joined by Patrick Hegman. He's the owner of Heaven on a Roll, and this will be Patrick's 4th year as one of our barbecue aficionados here at Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. So, Patrick, welcome back to the City of Westland. Welcome back to In the W.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, and it's always a pleasure.
All right, well, I got to tell you, this guy knows what he's doing. He actually brought one of his most popular dishes here with us today. So, Patrick, why don't you explain what you have here with us today?
Okay, well, today I brought my signature Carolina barbecue, which is a pulled pork, but it's seasoned with Carolina seasoning. This comes from, it's a Piedmont style from southern North Carolina, and it's a vinegar base with pepper and garlic and some other secret ingredients.
You can tell Devin and I that off the second. All right, Devin, make sure you get that.
Absolutely.
So I brought that along with some of my cornbread. It's like a corn cake. It's been very popular. People tend to love it. And something new I'm doing this year is a Carolina parfait. So it's my homemade mac and cheese with my Carolina barbecue, pineapple bourbon baked beans, and then topped with creamy coleslaw. Wow. So it's something that's, people like it because you can walk and eat it as you walk, and actually that blend of flavors is actually very good. So
That's awesome.
People do enjoy it.
Kind of looks like one of those walking tacos that they used to do.
Yeah.
And so now your barbecue, you mentioned Carolina a lot, and that's a unique style all by itself. So, well, what made you go down that route? I mean, a lot of folks. I tell you, my son loved Sweet Baby Ray's, and that's not Sweet Baby Ray's. So,
No.
what got you going down that road?
Well, my mother's from Lumberton, North Carolina, and their barbecue was ubiquitous. It's been around forever. I grew up with barbecue, and there were whole hog barbecues, pork butt barbecues. You could go to a Tasty Freeze and get a barbecue
showing
sandwich.
your age
served
now.
with- oh yeah, serve the coleslaw, and it's everywhere there.
Yeah.
And so I've been around it my entire life. I have an uncle that does a lot of barbecue for community charities, churches, and whatnot, and he's constantly doing it. He actually taught me, and then I've actually then modified a few things through the years. I've been doing it myself for about 35 years. Not in business, but doing the barbecue. And so that's where that came from. And it's something unique. You'll hear a lot of people have Carolina barbecue, but usually it's not exactly the same. So.
Yeah. Well, it looks amazing, and you got everything you need for a great barbecue dish. I mean, besides that great pulled pork, you got the homemade mac and cheese, you got the baked beans, the coleslaw, and that cornbread just looks fabulous. So, Devin, you a big barbecue guy?
Absolutely. I love barbecue.
I'll also be doing other dishes there as well.
Let's talk about your other dishes too.
I'll have brisket. I'll have my Texas-style brisket, which is the only way to do it, in my opinion. I'll have brisket, which is usually very popular. I'll have ribs, and I'll also be doing chicken. So we'll have all three: the pork, beef, and chicken. And then I'll also have some vegetarian dishes for those that don't do the meat scene. So I have a little bit of everything for everyone.
Very nice. Well, barbecue is becoming really, really popular, and smoking is popular, and everybody now has a smoker on their back porch. So what are some of the mistakes that the amateurs like Devin and I that tend to make with barbecue? You got any secrets or any advice you could give us?
Either cooking it too long so it dries out. So
Okay.
you don't want dry meat. Then you're making beef jerky then. The other key is that smoke. Typically, it needs to have 3 to 4 hours of smoke time so that you can get that meat, that flavor permeating into the meat. And then just making sure that you don't overcook it. Check with the thermometer. Depending on the type of cut of meat that you're using, some have to go for much longer to tenderize that meat. Otherwise, like brisket, I do for 13 hours.
13 hours for brisket. How about your pork shoulder?
This pork here was smoked overnight for 12 hours.
Okay. All right. So you got to give it enough time, but not too much time.
Yeah, and I use wood. And
what are your favorite woods to use?
Cherry and hickory and oak.
All right.
So those are the three, the trilogy, so to speak.
Well, you've got great food, and I can tell you, the one thing I remember about your stand in the past is that You're really, really busy. You're doing a lot of the work yourself, but you're smiling, so I know you enjoy this.
Oh, like it's a passion, and you get out of it what you put into it, and so there's a lot of love that goes into my food, and that's really something I feel that is necessary, because it's if you don't put the time into it and the love into it, it won't come out, and it shows through when you taste it. So.
All right, Devin. So now with barbecue, then this is going to be a free event, but if folks want to sample the barbecue from all the different barbecue camps that'll be there, how do they do that?
So all the food vendors will be located on the north end of the event grounds, but on the south end of the event grounds is going to be one of our service tents, where you'll exchange either your cash for Blues Bucks, and then what you do is you use the Blues Bucks to purchase the food and the beer, and we also accept credit card and debit card as well.
All right, so you need to get those Blues Bucks so you can purchase
Yep.
the food. And when you see the food that you get, the amount of it you get, and the quality you get, it's a great deal. And
Absolutely.
You're never going to have better barbecue than you have at Blues, Brews, and Barbecue.
That's true.
Devin, you mentioned beers, and that's another part about Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. We're going to have cold beers again this year. Do you have some of, can you tease a
Absolutely.
couple of them?
Yep, absolutely. So for those craft beer drinkers out there, this year's list will not disappoint. Excuse me while I read off the list. We have Summer Shandy, we have Sheboygan Lighthouse Amber, Atwater Dirty Blonde, Griffin Claw Norm's IPA, Saugaluck Oval Beach Blonde, Latitude 42 Cosmic Charlie, Pale Ale, Angry Orchard Crisp Apple, Sam Adams New England IPA. That's our very long craft beers list, but if you prefer domestic beer, no need to worry. We still have you covered, as we will also offer Coors Light and Molson on draft. The domestic beers will be sold for $6 per 16-ounce cup, and then the craft beers will be sold for $8 per 16-ounce cup. But we will also have non-alcoholic beverages on site for the youth and anybody who doesn't necessarily enjoy beer. So pop, lemonade, water, all that stuff will be on site as well.
All right, is there any of those beers you think pair well with one of these?
I'm a pale ale person myself,
All right, there
so,
you go.
when it comes to the craft beers.
Patrick's Pale Ale. That could be
That
a
could
whole
be
new
it.
venture for you. So, well, Devin, I'm glad you mentioned the other things, because while there will be beer there, this is a family-friendly event. So we encourage you to bring your children out. My children will be there that day. So Devin, what do we have for the kids to do that day as well?
So yeah, it's definitely a family affair. So all age groups are welcome. We're actually adding a new amenity this year. We're actually gonna have a rock climbing wall available for the youth to enjoy as well. So that's a secret amenity that you guys are hearing firsthand here in the W.
All right, and plus the fireworks at the end there. That's definitely family
course.
friendly. So Patrick, before we wrap up, why do you do these type of events? I mean, you could open your own restaurant, and on the weekends you probably have other things you'd rather do. But why do you do events like Blues, Brews, and Barbecue?
If I wasn't doing the barbecue, I'd be an attendee.
Okay.
So I found a way that I can combine my business with what I do with what I love, and I love blues music. I've been a blues fan for years and years and
Well, you
years.
got the voice for it. I mean, he's got the blues voice. I mean, you could.
So, and not only that, it's the environment, you have the atmosphere, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
What more thing could you do to enjoy your work than to be at a blues festival, making people happy with the food, listening to great music, and making a living?
All right. Well, Devin, any last words on Blues, Brews, and Barbecue? Anything we forgot to mention?
I think we covered it all pretty much, Mayor, but again, Saturday, one of the most epic fire shows you'll see. It's starting right at 10 o'clock.
It's going to be huge, right?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
here in the city of Westland.
It's always a highlight.
All right, well, thanks. So on behalf of Devin Adams, the City of Westland's controller, that's his real job, not just the barbecue
Right.
aficionado, and of course, Patrick Hagman. Remember, look him up, Heaven on a Roll. It's a great dish. He does a great job, and we appreciate you being part of it.
Well, thank you very much.
We also appreciate you for watching this episode of In the W. We look forward to seeing you out there at Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. See you next time.